Tonight, we've got Henny Shor joining us, and she's going to be talking a little later. So welcome to everybody, and of course, welcome to Henny. Tonight, one of the things that Henny is very big on, and this is why I've taken that as my theme for tonight, is on planning. And I think we all understand the importance of planning. And it's strange because, you know, some people think, okay, well, it's just a case of planning, just planning a meal or planning a trip or planning something to do with work. But in the end of the day, when you really think about it and we really add it all up, it's planning for a lot of things in our lives in many, many different ways. Those of us who have hobbies have to plan in different ways. I had an experience recently where I was making a blanket, crocheting a blanket for my daughter, who's got a big double bed. And she said to me, please, will you make the blanket for me? And I chose the wool and everything like that, did the whole thing, went into the shop, told them what I wanted, what I was going to do. And she gave me what I thought would be enough yarn to make the whole blanket. Well, I've run short. And I've gone back to the shop to say, you know, could I please order some more? I need more and whatever it is. And well, because of the situation, there's a problem with the ships coming in, and therefore she has absolutely no idea when she's going to get that stock. So that project is on hold as a result of not planning in advance to have enough of whatever I needed. And this applies to everything. I mean, in this case, it can wait. It's not a big deal. And you're certainly not going to use a blanket in this weather. But at the same time, it's a case of doing everything and thinking before we do things. And this is what when I talk about with coaching, is living our lives with intention, which brings in, incorporates the planning into it. So we're now going to go into breakout rooms. And I'm going to ask Vanessa if you can please be a team leader. And Vicky, will you put us in? We're a small group, and we're hoping to have more, but at the moment we're just a small group. So could you please put us into two groups? And Daniela, will you please take the other one and be the team leader? Okay, great. Thank you.
Maybe you don't want to?
Oh, that Daniela, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh.
If you want to, Daniela, you can.
Daniela, you do it.
That's fine. No, Daniela Crenshaw.
Okay, sorry. Okay, Daniela Crenshaw. All right. Okay, so if we can go into breakout rooms, it's a time for us to connect in the breakout rooms, find out who you are, what you do, and a little bit about yourselves, and then to talk about the word planning and what does it mean for you, and how would you use it in your daily life, and what has happened when you haven't done it and when you have done it. The differences to talk about that. Okay, all right, Danny, do you want to talk in the meantime and tell us about your group?
With Henny and Joanne and Jill and Daniela, and we spoke about planning. I think the difficulty, we brought up some other P's like procrastination. Difficulty in sort of setting the objectives, or even Joanne was saying she's retired now and she finds that she just doesn't, you know, she starts one thing, goes into another, and it's not planned. But maybe, you know, setting goals and understanding what you want to achieve, like reading a book in the afternoon is something that we can actually write down and do. And
absolutely. A very important part is to even put in the self-care practices into the plan of the daily whatever it is that we're doing. It's a vital thing, and you know, a lot of people don't realize that, but that having that self-care and planning those things. I'm going to go for a walk in nature. I'm going to read a book. I'm going to go and take a half an hour nap, whatever it may be. Is all part of self-care, which is vital. Yeah. So don't just sort of brush it off and think, you know, well, you know, like I'm a bit embarrassed to say I wanted to read for half an hour. Oh no, the opposite.
Yeah.
Opposite.
And we also said in terms of planning that sometimes you can plan, but then, you know, the saying that God laughs once you've planned. So there's also the other P, which is preparation. which means just, preparing for what ifs and, what other things can I do if that happens? And
Correct.
so those are the things we sort of really spoke about. And I really think we're all in kind of different places. At least the group that I was in, different places, and yet, yeah, some planned, but I think the majority didn't. I'm the only sort of anal one who has a book that writes things in my to-do list every single day. So yeah.
But I also think it depends on what stage in our lives we're at and where we're at. You know what I mean? So that also takes a very big factor of it. Okay,
but even if you're retired, Mish, you need like a vision board or a sort
absolutely
of a dream board of I want to achieve X, Y, and Z in this.
you've got to have it's also, a case of having direction, because if you don't have direction, then you get very lost, and that's when all kinds of health issues and depression and things like that can come into it as well. So it's a very, very important factor. Very important. Okay, yeah, so I definitely agree with you there. Vanessa, you want to talk about our group?
Actually, thinking about what we were talking about, I actually just thought about something, if you don't mind me sharing something new. I don't know if any of you heard of Nir Eyal. He's actually an Israeli, but he's written books like Hooked. It was one of the New York's bestseller. And basically, he talks about how you plan your time, managing your time. And we like to have to-do lists, but you know that if we have a to-do list and we say, right, I'm going to work on, I don't know, like cleaning this room, and I just want to tick it. Sometimes it could take 2 hours. So therefore I'm going to actually work on exercising, but I didn't plan how long it will take me. So what he suggests is scheduling it on like Google, what's called the Google Calendar, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or some kind of computerized, or even you can write it on a piece of paper. It doesn't matter, like a weekly piece of paper or daily.
Weekly planner.
Yeah, something like that. And you basically need to say 2 hours, I don't know, I just taught some students today on presentation skills, and we spoke about, I don't know if you heard of STAR, which is situation, task, action, and result. And like I said, how do you get to the result of actually speaking English better? But she needed to present that. And so she said, okay, I have to fit in 2 hours a day to practice my English. Now, that's a lot, because research says that you only need like at least 5 to 20 minutes a day, not as long as that.
Right.
But she slot that into her day. And that actually, and then you can have to-do lists within that time. And whatever you aren't able to manage, you go, okay, so now I've got a few hours the next day, or I've got 20 minutes the next day. This is how I'm going to move it forward.
Well, if you talk about time management, then that becomes another story altogether. And in time management, you would then say what is important and what is relevant and what is urgent and what can be moved to tomorrow and what needs to be done today. So that's a totally different subject, because if we're talking planning, let's just go back to the actual planning of things like that and what we were talking about in the group. So do you want to carry on talking about it?
Michelle, I would love you to, because I was like...
Okay, distracted. Okay. So Sandy was saying about the fact that she teaches little kids and the importance of having some kind of structure, some kind of plan, even though it is dynamic, and even though things do happen during the course of the day or during the course of the lesson. So we have to have some kind of plan and be able to be a bit flexible with it, which is very important. I think that was the main takeaway from that. Am I correct? Right. Okay. So we're now going to go into introducing Henny, and Henny's going to tell us her own story, but she has something which, even though I've been coaching now for nearly 15 years, something I'd never heard of as an option as a coach, and that is to become a kitchen coach. So, Henny, would you like to please unmute yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are, how did you become a kitchen coach, why a kitchen coach, and then go into your presentation, please.
And how is your kitchen so clean behind you?
Okay, so number one, the kitchen behind me is a picture I took when my kitchen was clean. No, it was actually before Pesach. I was showing the difference between the morning of the craziness and in the evening after I kashed it. I use that as my backdrop. I'm actually now I'm at my parents' house, and behind me is just a glass window with a trees. I didn't think it was anything too exciting, so I use my kitchen as a backdrop. I try to keep it clean. It is usually clean, but also I cook a lot, so when I'm cooking, it's not. But there is stuff on the counter, so it doesn't look that bad usually.
All right. So how did you become a kitchen coach? Why a kitchen coach? What made you do that?
So it's a great question. Thank you, Michelle, first of all. Thank you for inviting me here. Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
So nice to meet everybody. I had the honor of meeting Danielle and a few others in the breakout room. Food is, I've always been someone who really enjoys cooking, eating, dealing with food, baking. I enjoy also, you know, when it comes to food, there's just a passion. There's something for me, you know, wonderful of that feeling of making something, taking a bunch of ingredients, putting it together, and then giving it to someone or serving it, or even myself, or giving it to my family or to a friend and having them eat it and put that smile on their face. And just there's that, it's a connection. I find for me, the kitchen is really the heart of the home. There's all different kinds of coaches out there. And years ago, I was exploring becoming a coach, you know, just more of like what you do, empowerment coach and things like that.
Right.
And then during Corona, of course, anyone that had any plans kind of just went, phew. And my daughter at the time was 6 years old. So she was home with me for about 7 months because we didn't let her go back to school until September. So she was pretty much home, and we would do a lot of stuff together. And we would just go on Facebook sometimes and just cook in front of people on Facebook. We would do Facebook Live. We would do, you know, challah. We would make soup. You know, she's a real character. So she would just, I mean, people came on to watch her really, but they would learn about food. And people would just reach out to me about how do I do that? And how do I do that? How long do I cook this for? Where do I get the meats? I started getting like tons of questions, and I was like, there's no one that has the answers. There's no one that's guiding people. Even before that, I found that friends, even before this, you know, doing live videos, people, when they wanted to know about challah or making food or people knew to call me because they've either been at my house and tasted my food. Thank God I am a good cook. I'm proud. I'm proud of the way, you know, things come out for the most part. And, you know, at first it's like, okay, you know, one friend's helping another. But for me, what seemed so natural on how to figure these things out, I realized is not natural for most women. Or at least a lot of them. And then there's the issue of women are so much busier than our mothers were. At least that's what I'm experiencing now. I know someone just mentioned that they're retired, so it's a different situation, but the time is so fast and we're juggling so much more. And then a lot of us are in the sandwich generation where we've got kids or grandkids, we've also got parents, whatever it is. And the last thing you want to do at 4 o'clock in the afternoon is figure out what to make for dinner, because by then you have made 3,000 decisions of the day without even consciously being aware of it. The amount of decisions we make on a day are just tremendous. And we get decision fatigue by around 4 or 5 o'clock and we hit a wall. And I know this because I've been there. Even though I'm very good with cooking, when I didn't plan, this is what would happen. So, you know, before I had a kid, me and my husband would be like, okay, we'll go out to dinner. We don't have to pay a babysitter. We're not, you know, buying diapers. We have the money. We could do it. And we didn't do it that often. But then, you know, all of a sudden you need to keep your finances in check and you want to start eating healthier. And you realize that actually using so much more time going out to eat and then more time making up for the money. And that if you plan, it can make things so much easier, because if dinner takes, and it shouldn't ever take more than 30 minutes. And I usually, a lot of my dinners take no more than 5 to 10 minutes to prep. A more elaborate one is 20 minutes, but even if it's a 30-minute prep, if you know what you're making, it's not a big deal to spend those 30 minutes, because you can come home at 4:30 and at 5 o'clock start cooking and dinner's ready by 5, whatever it is, by 5:30, 6 o'clock, and you spent 20 minutes maybe in the kitchen. It's not difficult, because it's an automatic. Okay, I got to chop the onions, I got to chop the peppers, I got to cut up the chicken, I'm going to put them in the soy sauce, I'm going to make a stir fry, I've got the rice already going, and it's done. And that's one of my more elaborate patchki, as I call it, dinners. Well, then there's the dinners where I literally don't even peel the potatoes. I just wash them, cut them into cubes, put the chicken on top, sprinkle on some garlic powder, and put it in the oven. And 2 hours later, dinner is done. And I've actually done this live many times to show people how you can make dinner in under 5 minutes with 3 ingredients. It's really not difficult, but what's difficult is the decision. So I work with women, coaching them on how to meal prep, because a lot of people don't know how. I grew up, my mother only worked till 1 o'clock, so that she was home a good 2 hours, 3 hours before anyone else did. So it was easy for her to know what was for dinner. She would pick it up on the way home. She would make it. We don't have that luxury today. And even if we're working part-time, we're filling the gaps with so many other things.
Sure.
So I found that that's really, makes the biggest difference, is when I just know what I'm making, I'll do it. Just tell me what to do. So I actually have, if anybody wants, I'm going to put it in the chat. If you want to get a meal planner cheat sheet, I'm going to just put that in here. And you can sign up and you'll get it for free. And then you'll be on my email list, and you can unsubscribe at any time. I do not send a lot of emails. It's a couple times a month. Before big events like Chagim and stuff, you might get a little bit more, but I give tips, I give recipes. I run groups. I coach women one-on-one, and I also run groups. Like right now, I have the Yum and Done challenge, where I work with women on every single Sunday. We sit, we menu plan for the week, we come up with different ideas. This week's challenge was making a staple included in one of your meals that you can use in different meals throughout the week. Like, for example, making a big pot of pasta and using it one night with, meatballs and spaghetti, and using it another night, adding in some Asian sauce and using it as, with pepper steak. So I give different challenges like that to get us through, and I help them come up with creative solutions and ideas on how to meal plan. I also help people hear how to shop, because in Israel, when you make Aliyah, it's a whole different ballgame.
Sure.
It took me, I think 10 years. I've been here 20. It took me about 10 years to really figure out things. I would call my sister-in-law, who only made Aliyah a few months before me, so she would know a little bit more, but not much. I'm like, where do I look for this? What is it called? How is it spelled? What am I? It was so overwhelming. And now I can go blindfolded into Rami Levy and fill my shopping cart, because I've gotten used to it. I know what meats to make, how to make them, how to prepare them. So I teach a lot of that. And I get a thrill. I enjoy planning, menu plans, meals. I enjoy when it comes to the Chagim, it's my favorite. Like a month or so before, I'm already got everything set from Rosh Hashanah through Sukkot, so that I can already start shopping ahead of time when I see something on sale. And I enjoy it, and it makes everything else run so more smooth. And I know we were talking before about, like, we can plan and God laughs. And so, I always say to keep a 15-minute buffer zone. If you know something, a task is going to take you, like shopping can take, if you go into the store, you have to figure a 2-hour window. All right. Sometimes it depends. If it's a bigger shop, you might need more, because there's the getting to the store, the parking, the getting everything in the cart, the standing online, the bagging everything, putting it back in the cart, bringing it back in the house. It's a big job, which is why I encourage people also, if they can, to use online shopping. the first few times might be more challenging, but once you get used to it and once you have a shopping list on that online platform, you can just take things out and add things in to your usuals, which also make it easier. And so I try to find little tips and tricks to make it easier, healthier, and less expensive. You know, so like shopping, for instance, when you have a meal plan, then you can shop for the whole week because you know what you're making. If you don't have a meal plan, you're going to go in the store and you're going to probably go after work when you're hungry, which means you're going to buy a lot more things than you really need. And you're going to go in there and you're going to get decision fatigue. I don't know, do I want this? Do I want that? So either you just end up walking out of the store, or you just put everything in your cart and then you get home and you put things in and then you don't know when you're going to make them. And 3 weeks later, you find some molds in the back of your fridge with, you know, cabbage that has sprouted. All the cabbage stays well, but you know, peppers and cucumbers or whatever it is, because you didn't know it was there because you shopped on a whim. And then what happens is because you didn't shop with a plan, so then the next night you decide, okay, I'm going to make the chicken that I bought. Oh, but I don't have, you know, the crumbs that I wanted to use. So now I'm going to go to the grocery store. And while you're there, you're going to pick up. So my rule is big shop once a week and supplement once a week, meaning I do my shopping on Tuesday or Wednesday. And then if I need to go on Friday to pick up, you know, I need fresh lettuce or I need some fresh cucumbers because we've already gone through those. Although I really think it's okay to keep things for a week, but there's always the supplement, which is okay because you're always going to forget something. But you have to go into that supplement shopping with a very, very clear mind of exactly what you're getting. Because I like shopping once a week. And then a few years ago, this is one of the reasons that I also became a kitchen coach. The Rami Levy I went to, the peppers did not look good. On the way home, I passed a little fruit and vegetable market, which is also like a makolet. And I went in to get peppers. Peppers, how much are peppers? $7.90 at most a kilo. I mean, I ended up spending 140 shekels in that supermarket because, of course, I didn't only get peppers. I had just done a shop at Rami Levy. I'm sending it delivery. It's on its way to my house. I spent like 700-800 shekels. I got everything I needed. I just needed peppers. But when you go into the store, they get you to buy the things. And then I spent 140 shekels. And it wasn't until I got home that I was like, what did I just do? Like, I just had everything I needed. Had I not gone into the store, I would have been perfectly fine. And that's when I was like implementing the once a week shop. And if I need to do, you know, something to supplement, so I'll either send my husband or I will go in with just enough cash. You know, I won't use my debit card that time. I'll be like, okay, I need peppers. I'm taking 20 shekels with me. God bless me if I only, you know, if I spend more than 20 shekels on peppers. So it's, yeah, once you change your mind and once you're aware that stores spend millions of dollars a year getting you to spend money, you become much more aware of it. And again, when you have a plan, you're not going to go in the store and buy all different kinds of things because you're not sure which one you're going to feel like making. You know, it's okay to have a plan and then you walk in and they're having something on sale that you didn't plan for. Great. So you say, okay, now Wednesday night I'm making that, but now I'm not making this. So I was going to make chicken, but now I'm making meat, but now I'm not going to pick up the chicken. Or, wow, there's a beautiful piece of salmon and it's on sale and I love salmon and I don't usually buy it, but wow. Okay, great. No problem. Take something off the list and put that in. Don't buy for both. And it just over time, you save hundreds of shekels a week, which adds up. You're not spending money on takeout because it's now 6 o'clock and everybody's starving and they're eating whatever they can find, cereal or, which is fine every now and then, or they're eating cookies or snack and nash, and you'll find yourself sitting with a spoon and ice cream, which of course we're all entitled to every now and then, but it's not dinner. And then you end up, you know, burgers bar, pizza, whatever it is. And the wall guy knows you by name and your birthday, and you want to take more control. You want to make sure you're eating the right things and the right time, and you don't want that headache of figuring it out. So I teach women how to meal plan. And like I said, I put the link in, and I'm sure Michelle can send it out again in an email.
Okay. Vicky, did you cut and paste it so that you've got that link?
Okay, great. I put it here, and again, it's free. And you know,
if you can please just keep it fast so we can then put it in the group afterwards. Great, thank you. That is fantastic. But just tell me something, Henny. when you plan meals and you have, like, for example, like I have in my family, I mean, I'm also I'm empty nester, like somebody else said they were, as Andy said she was. Okay, but the problem is that my husband's plant-based and I'm not. So then what do you do in a case like that, where you have two people in a home, or sometimes three or four, where somebody's got to be gluten-free and somebody else is lactose intolerant or whatever it is? How do you get yourself organized around something along those lines?
All right, so that's a great question, Michelle. It just means you need to plan more,
Yeah,
or more precise. It doesn't mean you need to spend more time planning. You just need to be more aware of your planning. If your husband's plant-based and you're not, you can make the same dinner and just put that piece of chicken on with whatever else it
right.
is. All right, you can, that's easy. Or, and also, again, you can, in that case, actually, your food can last longer. You can make, on Monday night, you can make, 2-3 pieces of chicken. And you can, even if you don't want to have it every night that week, you could have a piece, freeze the other two. Next week, when he's having his quinoa salad, great, you have that as well, and you warm up that piece of chicken. So there's different ways. In my family, I'm gluten-free, nobody else is. So I've definitely learned, but I make challah every single week because I enjoy making challah and my family loves it. So a lot of times, some of the things that we share, like if I make schnitzel, I'm going to use breadcrumbs that are gluten-free or a gluten-free substitute. It tastes the same to them. They don't care. Doesn't have to be, I'm not going to make 2 types of schnitzel because I'm going to make it simple, right? If a person's going to say, oh, well, they need the one with the breadcrumbs and she needs the one with the gluten-free, they're going to drive themselves nuts. There's nothing wrong with it being gluten-free all around. For something, I'm giving an example like that. Or somebody is dairy-free, right? So you learn to deal with almond milk, cashew butter. There's many options. We have so much abundance of options today. It's unbelievable. And everything is really readily available. And it's easy. We have beautiful health food stores all around the country. It's good to see when things are on sale because health food stores tend to be a little bit more pricey. So right. So when you're going in there, when there's something on sale that has a good shelf life, stock up. Because coming back next month, you're going to then spend on other things. So like, if let's say there's, let's say quinoa, right? That comes in, bags and there's a great sale, 2 bags, buy 5 bags, 6 bags, put them in the back of your freezer, your pantry, wherever you want to put them, keep them. If that shelf life is very long, things in cans, or if you're in an organic store and you want to buy organic meats and they're on sale, meats could last in the freezer a good 3 to 6 months. So that's where you have to, budget more and realize that there's going to be more money going into those things.
Right.
Sorry, I was going to jump in because it's really interesting you saying that, Henny, because there's like a local supermarket. I live in Henny Shor. There's a local supermarket just next to me, and it's also super expensive. But they have oats, and I like to make my own like granola. So sometimes it's on sale, and I do exactly what you say. I'm going, okay, I'm going to buy 3 or 4 packets because it's like super expensive. If I go with the and then also you're right, you have to shop around. Like you go to all the different supermarkets to see the costs of how much oats are, and there's such differences. Right. Because it is more expensive to buy granola that's full of, and muesli that's full of sugar and lots of artificial, I don't know, whatever they put in, where you make your own. It's even though it's a little bit more expensive, like you said, going to these natural, to get like these organic apricots, okay, it's still worth your while. Right. And it's fun, you're actually doing something and it takes 10 minutes of your time.
Right. So I'm big on granola also. I make enough that usually lasts me about 10 days. I make them into granola bars. But I'm happy to share is you can click on that link and you'll get an email from me, and I'm happy to share the recipe with you. What I was also going to say is I hear you about shopping around. My only concern when you start shopping around is if I'm going to go into 3 stores, now I'm spending an extra hour shopping, which is time, which is money. And then when I go into the second store to price something, I might find something else that I didn't really need, and now I bought it. Now, again, if you're able to do that without going into the store, like if you're able to compare prices online, or if a friend says to you, you know, if a friend is going into a store, say, you know what, when you're there, can you just check the price of the oats this week? Because sometimes it's better to spend the extra 3-4 shekels or even 5 shekels than going into a second store where you're going to then buy more things than just the oats. You have to figure that out also. Like sometimes I'll be in a store and I'm like, oh my God, it'll be so much cheaper if I just go to Rami Levy. But then if I go into Rami Levy, I'm going to spend another 200 shekels on other things. And right now I just need this. So I'm going to spend 5 more shekels, even though I know it's more than I wanted, because this is what I need, you know, now. And I don't have the time. And sometimes you have to make that choice. But it is important to know, you know, not to go to those super expensive stores. Like, you know, my husband on his way home, he'll stop at the more convenient shops. He's like, you want me to pick up anything? I'm like, no, because I don't want to pay double for scallions. Like, I'm not interested in, you know, I'd rather we can make do with what we have. But those little convenient supermarkets charge a lot because of the word convenient. So it's important to keep that in mind.
Yeah, well, this is the point, you know, I think it's a very important factor that you have to take the cost into account as well. And which is what you've been saying all along, and balance it out between time and the cost. And also, as you say, coordinating it with the planning. So if you go in with a list, this is what I've made, and this is what I'm making, and this is what I need, and this is what I've got to replace, and then just buy those things and try not to get the chocolate on the way out because it's at the cashier, or buy the ice cream because that's also at the cashier, and get the other things that you really need, and just do the shop and get out of there, and then go home and plan accordingly. Those are the important things. This is a very, very important factor. And what else do you do as far as being a kitchen coach? And could you help someone, for example, who has a butter gun in her fridge, for example? I'm just throwing ideas out.
So I do have clients where sometimes it's so overwhelming that they're like, I can't even meal plan right now because I can't even find anything in my fridge. And I'm like, okay, so let's do inventory. So there's actually, I have 5 things I wanted to share with the group that they can use as takeaways.
Yes.
And if that's okay if I share that now. So the first one, like I've said, and I've been very clear on, is making a meal plan. That is like step 1. And I always say to do it for a week plus. Like I do it on Sunday and it's through next Tuesday. Okay, because I'm not shopping again. When I shop this week, I'm shopping from this week through the next Tuesday, right? Because I don't want to shop again on Sunday, because Sunday's not the best day to go shopping here, right? The best time to get fresh produce is either Tuesday or Wednesday. Mondays are also good, but Monday is too early to shop for Shabbat. So if I go on Monday, that means I'm going to have to go again on Thursday, which means I'm going to spend at least 200 shekels more on my shopping. Because going in again, every time you go in there, you're spending more money.
You're spending more money.
As soon as that door opens, you have money that has just the way that our mind is, it's the way they are. So the first thing is to make a meal plan. Once you have a meal plan, and again, if you click on that link, you'll get a cheat sheet meal planner with an extra one as a template on the different ideas. Again, you could follow the cheat sheet or you can come up with your own. Once you make that plan, then you can make a shopping list, because you can't make a shopping list before that. So then you have to make the shopping list. Once you do the shopping list, what I suggest before you actually go out to shop is what I call kitchen inventory. Now, kitchen inventory doesn't really need to be done every week. It could be done once a month. If you want to have it in your head that it's about, the time of Rosh Chodesh, or you want to do it, okay, on the 5th of every month is when I'm going to do it. If you have a date that when you could do it, that's what you do. And kitchen inventory is when you go first, it's the 3 things are pantry, freezer, and fridge, right? So you start with your pantry, you open it up, you look inside. you're going to find baked beans, you're going to find peas, you're going to find a can of something, you're going to find, oh, I didn't know I had this whole huge jar of mayonnaise. And meanwhile, that was on my list. You're going to find things. Oh, look at all these chickpeas. Oh my gosh, look at this. I have this amazing rice I never made that I bought on a whim. So then what you can do is then you can either adjust your meal plan for the week and be like, or you can adjust your shopping list or both. And you could be like, I don't need to buy rice because I have it. I don't need to buy corn because I have it. Oh, and I just opened the freezer and I have 2 bags of frozen broccoli. So I thought I needed it because I couldn't find it. But now you set a timer. You set a timer for about, I usually say about no more than 10 minutes for each thing. So it's about, you can do them even in slots. 10 minutes and do the pantry. Great. Take a sip of coffee, take a drink of water, give yourself a pat on the back. Go to 10 minutes. Fridge and freezer together could probably done in 15. So this whole thing isn't going to take you more than 25 minutes. And again, you don't have to do it all in one go, but it's, you can challenge yourself and say, okay, how much can I get done? And once you're meal planning and you're shopping and you're doing inventory once a week, the stuff that's in the back of the pantry are going to get used. You're going to have much less waste. You're going to spend a lot less in the grocery store because you already see how much you have. You're going to find, oh, I have 6 peppers and 2 zucchinis. Great. I'm making a stir fry for dinner. And I'll add in some rice that I just found. You become more creative when it's in front of you. When you don't know what's going on in your freezer, it's hard. And I always say the best reward of cleaning your freezer is the ice cream that you find. When you're done finding the inventory in your freezer, get a spoon and enjoy the ice cream that you found there. But I find that really also helps. So it's the menu planning, the shopping list, the inventory. All right. And then there is the keeping things in the kitchen that go together. Like all the spices should be in one place. And just a little tip about spices, about once a month, and I guess you could do this on your inventory day, I take an empty spice jar and I make my own spice mix, which saves around 3 minutes, at least 3 times a day over the course of a month, which is a lot of time. Because when I'm making something, instead of pulling out 5 different spices, I'm going to pull out 1. And that one, I'm just going to spice everything with. And I make my own, and you could make your own. And if you want more information on that, you could email me and I'll tell you how to do that. But, mine is, garlic powder, onion powder, kosher salt, like a little bit of salt, parsley flakes, a little bit of turmeric, some ginger, sometimes a dash of hot pepper. In the winter, it might have, a little bit of cumin. It really depends, but I'll have a spice mix, and that can go on my eggs, on my zucchini, on my chicken, on my fish. And it won't all taste the same because each food has its own flavor. But what it does is I'm making something and I just have to do this once. And it sounds like such a small time saver, but in the end, it's a tremendous time saver because I'm not, first of all, looking for the spices. I don't have to put 5 spices away. I have 1 spice mix and that's done. So that's a very big tip, is to make your own spice mix. And, I'm happy to share with you how I do that. And then the last thing is to shop once a week. Once you have that shopping list, once you did your inventory, once you know what your meal plans are, you do the shopping. And when you come home, try to keep things in the kitchen together. I have a place where all my baking stuff is, so that when I need to bake, I only open that cabinet. The sugar, the cocoa powder, baking soda, vanilla, brown sugar, chocolate, whatever it is that's for baking is all there. I don't need to start running around the kitchen. In Israel, I don't know where everybody is from here, but at least in Israel, I feel that our kitchens are, at least in my situation, a lot smaller. Even though it looks big behind me, that's it. That's the extent of it. It's small. Thank God, but I make it work. I have 1 cabinet with all the baking stuff, and 1 cabinet, is with all the oils and spices, and 1, with these dishes. And it just makes our productivity go so much faster. And so those are things that I work with. And I also work with new Olim, like I said, that come and don't know how to navigate the supermarkets, new brides that are getting married, new couples, they want to start right, it's best for them to learn how to manage a kitchen before there's 3 kids and 2 full-time jobs. So it's better for them, you know, it's a great wedding gift to work with me and to get that started and really learn how to cook, and cook in a way that's simple.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Henny. Any other questions?
Thank you,
Any
Michelle.
other comments? Anything anybody wants to ask? Yes, Daniela.
I just want to say, you know what, I don't know if this would help, but you talked about inventory, and I love that idea. What I actually have a chalkboard in my kitchen, and when I run out of something, when I sort of finish the sugar, or or I'm near to finishing it, I put it on the chalkboard, so I know
I
that
love
need
it.
to, you know, to buy it, and then I do my weekly thing, obviously looking around, but I have my sort of main, you know, whatever's missing or whatever's
Right.
down or low, I know that I need to get. So
Right. I love that idea. I have a
Very
friend-
similar to Daniela. I've had since I've been in Israel, which is 25 years. I bought a thing from Nechal Benyamina, whatever you call that market, and I used to put it on the shopping list. And now it's 2024. I have in my calendar, my Google calendar, it's called shopping. And when I need something like Daniela, when I need it, I run out, I put it on my list. And when there's enough, I'll go and do the shopping.
Amazing.
So sometimes I don't even go on weekly. Sometimes I don't even go on 2 weekly. I've got
Wow.
everything.
Good for you.
Yeah.
But
So you're
also
you're saving a lot.
there's also different applications that you can put on your phone and that you could share with other family members. So if they run out of the ketchup or they want extra eggs because they're going to do baking or whatever it is,
Mhm.
they can always add to that list. So then
Mhm.
it's there in the list already when you go to the shops.
Right. There, I
So-
think it's called All Lists is one app,
Yeah,
and you can
there are a
share it
few.
with someone else that you're living with, a spouse, a partner, a parent,
Correct.
a child. You know, and
Correct.
Sandy, it's great that you're able to go for 2 weeks. You know, I guess it also depends on, you know, the space you have and your family's needs. How, you know, I also have a friend that does it every 2 weeks, and then she says they'll supplement only the fruits and veggies and like just what, you know, like that. And so that's great. You know, I try to, like, again, when there's something on sale, okay, the schnitzel is 2 kilos for 80 shekels as opposed to 90 shekels. Great, I'm going to get 4 because I'm going to need it. As long as this room in my freezer, I'll buy 4. And then next week, it's not on my list for probably 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And it makes a difference. It makes a difference when you don't have to run out, because that's a whole nother thing. It's now going out. Which store am I going to go to? How am I getting there? The decisions, the amount that we get is so overwhelming because as much as we have so much abundance, that abundance also brings so many decisions. You don't walk into the store and find one pair of jeans. There's 500 different types, and that becomes overwhelming. You know, it's funny because people are like, oh, in Israel, you don't have everything. And I remember it was after a few years that I made Aliyah, I went to Target and I walked into I think it was the detergent aisle, which went on, it was like bigger than Tel Aviv. And I thought, how do you make a decision? Like, and we have a lot here, thank God, but like there were 50 different brands, plus different versions, plus sizes, plus I was losing my mind. I said, oh my God, this is so overwhelming. Like the choices were so big.
Yeah.
When you have a
Sometimes
list,
too much.
right? When you have a list, you just stick with it. The decisions are easier. And if you know, when it comes to certain things, if you don't care so much about the quality of the product, then you go with what's most economical. You know, unless it's really not a good product. And you know, so
I know we need to finish, but I sent to you, Henny. There's a link. He's a lawyer. He's religious, and he set this up, I think, with another guy, and they go all over the country, and they try all different kosher foods, and then they remark on it. And now they got 9. I remember, like I taught him many years back. And he and now they have 9,000 followers.
wow.
And people are, so it's food related. So I don't know how, but it'd be interesting to see, you know, because maybe with your daughter, and you said you're also on Facebook, and then maybe there will be connection.
Thank you.
You never know. So
Yeah.
please take it and see, see if it can help you at all.
Wow. Okay.
Vanessa, thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay. Joanne, any
Yeah.
questions?
I just have to tell you that, the reason that I never actually planned meals before was that I remember that Shirley Valentine movie. I don't know if anyone's seen it. Shirley Valentine, anyone?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, but which scene?
When the husband sort of says, "Oh, it's Thursday, it's steak and chips night," you know what I mean? And it's like, oh God, no, I don't ever want to be like that, where it's like, it's Tuesday, so it must be fish night, or it's Wednesday, it must be lasagna. Ugh.
The truth is, it's actually I understand where that was going, but the truth is, it's actually very comforting sometimes. So at least for me, growing up, knowing that Monday nights was this. I don't do that as much. We have about 2 or 3 different, things that we like. Mondays is usually something with chopped meat, but it's not the same. It'll be 3 different things. So, but it just helps me shop because I'm buying still chopped meat. What I'll do with it at home is different. Wednesday is usually a one dish Wednesday, I call it. So I try to, usually it's a chicken dish. So again, I'm buying the chicken. What I'll do with it, different recipes, different things. So it doesn't get boring, but there is that kind of comfort. And again, it makes my shopping easier. And I'm able to know what I'm spending because it's not varying so much each week. Obviously, Chagim come, it varies. You're having guests for Shabbat, it varies. And, I'm actually going to be running a pre-Chag, workshop on, it's called the Chagim Master Plan, where it's going to be like a 4 or 5 week thing where I'm going to coach women on how to get all those together. And I told Michelle that for anyone who signs on that link from this group tonight, when that launches, you will get a special discount. So keep that in mind. And that will be launching, please God, by the end of this week. So before it's going to start probably in another week and a half, but I'm gonna, once I start opening up registration, you'll be able to have an exclusive discount for my.
Thank you. So, Henny, I'm going to ask you, on a Tuesday, we allow everybody to put any workshops, any kind of events, anything special that they are having. So would you please put that in the Facebook group on Tuesday?
Okay, great. I'll make a note of it.
And then anybody who wants to join will then be able to register and get the link and be able to join you. All right?
Great.
Okay. Gil, any comments, any questions, anything you would like to add, ask?
No.
No, you're
No.
happy with what you got?
Yes, of course.
Okay, good. Okay, Daniela Herzig, anything you want to ask? Anything you want to add to it? Any questions? Any answers? Any queries? Nothing? No? Okay, great. Okay, anybody else? Joanne?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, great.
Good.
All right. Okay, Sandy, no, you're happy? You enjoyed it? Good. Okay, Vanessa?
Yeah, super.
Okay.
Really nice. Thank you.
Great. Okay, Vicky?
And Daniela.
Okay, all right. So thank you so much, Henny. I really appreciate this. I'm
You're
sorry that
welcome. You're
more
welcome.
didn't
Thank you so
join.
much for inviting me.
Yeah, I'm sorry that more didn't join, but we have got it recorded and we will be putting it on our YouTube channel in the next few days. So it really was very, very interesting, and I think we all benefited from it. So thank you. And those of you who, the link will be posted as well in the group as well, so that if anybody wants it or didn't get it. All right. Okay. So thank you so much, everyone. Our next guest speaker is in 2 weeks' time, and she's a caterer from England, and she's going to be talking specifically about the Chagim. So keep that in mind, and please all join us then and register for it. Okay. So take care.
Do we know who the name is? Who's the caterer from England?
Daniela, you want to give her name? Sorry.
Lindsay Jacobs.
Who?
Lindsay Jacobs.
Lindsay Jacobs. Okay.
She's amazing. Does amazing, amazing food. So
All right. So we've got ourselves ready for Yom Tov already from what Henny has given us already. And we'll soon hear from the other one as well. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining
you
us
very
tonight.
much.
Take care.
Thanks,
Just stay
Michelle.
safe and keep planning.
Bye.
Take
Thank
care.
you. Good night. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.